Yes, Vishwas, you want to high five me? Because that's one thing that we are actually really bad at doing. Like, always it goes like this. Will you try? Are you feeling awake? We are here to just share about how we got together and just all that we've been able to do since we've gotten together. It's for us, it's like two best friends just choosing to hang out for the rest of their lives. So excited to share our journey and our story with you. I'm Satya.
I'm Vishwas.
And here's our story. Yay.
वैसे coordination में सुना था.
Yeah, just see how they're doing. Look at Kriti's face. Do it.
All right. So finally, we have the two of you with us with all the struggles and challenges we've had to make this happen. Something that whenever we are meeting couples or people like single men, women, or people with their partners, I think one thing that we're always asked is, hey, how did you decide on getting married to this particular person? Like, how did you come down to the person?
I don't think it was an intellectual decision, as in I don't think there were a set of reasons or like a checklist, at least for me, like that I had while choosing a partner. I've had a very interesting like relationship life. Like I've been everything from being asexual to like pansexual, polyamorous, to like being gender fluid and just everything, all sorts of identities. So to me, just knowing whether I like a person or not was a very intuitive thing, something your heart knows, like when you meet another person. So I think when I met Satya, there was just that knowing that this is it. And that had never happened.
Were there like guitars and bells and everything ringing inside?
This one only was playing the guitar. He was only singing. He was the music for us. I think for me, I came from a place where I knew that I wanted to be with somebody like for a long time, because I was looking in some ways for a teammate. That's how I see it. Like I was looking for someone to do life with, and I had done life by myself in so many ways for so long. Like I was an only child, struggled with many pieces of personal growth and development. And the point where I met Vishwas was just after living alone for a few months and really like getting into a relationship with myself. And when that relationship like got to a space where it could open to someone else, I think that's when I met Vishwas. And for me, like I met him and I kind of ran away once because I was like, who's this intense dress wearing dude? Like what is happening? I was also wearing a dress, he's also wearing a dress. So I was just like, what's going on? But then I think just being able to come back to the space literally the second and the third time was enough for me to know that, okay, now this person is it. That's it now. Like whatever happens, whatever learning happens, whatever challenges, struggles happen, it happens here. Like I've been with multiple people in the past, and I have thought that if I change my partner, life is gonna get better, and everything's gonna be okay with the next person. But I think it was about being able to really find somebody with whom you would also want to work on things that are really hard, right? Like parts of self that are dark and murky and that you struggle with and don't feel like talking about. Like with Vishwas, like Vishwas is the safest I have ever felt. And I think because of that, I'm able to find more and more spaces which are safe, safe up till that degree.
So you mentioned about the teammate analogy, right? Like that's something I also, when we were getting into this relationship and we got into this relationship saying to each other that this is not an experiment. Like we are going to get into a relationship only if we are agreeing to marry each other,
Yeah.
right? Now, at that time, the thing that was running in my mind was that yes, like we've been with multiple people in the past, and we always look for that perfect partner. But in honesty, every relationship is beautiful. It is work, right? That needs to be done. Like as you said, like you need to be able to do the hard things with the person, and you will never achieve perfection with your partner. But the ability to be able to do that hard work with that person is what truly marriage is, right? So when a lot of people are, throwing this question that how can you be so sure about the person, I was like, you can never be sure. You can have a divorce after 10 years. A 6 year long relationship ends just before the marriage. Anything can happen. But the fact that you are sure that I'm willing to do the hard things with this person, I think that's the confidence that's most important.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So much faith in this, just meeting somebody and just being like, and his name is Vishwas. So,
Vishwas, yes.
that worked out really well for me. So, yeah, I think just this particular part of things is also one of the struggles that I had previously, like not being able to fully trust and to be able to fully let someone in. And to me, like fully letting someone in now, I understand means telling them the truth, like fully telling them the truth about everything. And I wasn't able to do that with my previous partners in different ways. What I was holding when I met Vishwas was this, just this like clarity in my heart that I want to speak the truth. I want to be in spaces where my truth is honored, where the truth, like truth itself is honored, where truth is very important. So I think that is what for me was like, okay, like now, like I like after we got together, I was just like, cool, now all sorted. Just took 30 years, but now all good. So yeah, that's how it felt like, like we've known each other for a very, 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 very long time. We were trees together in some forest, and
Yeah.
here we are. Now we hang out so much. We say the same thing at the same time, and it's so trippy and so cool. Just be like, "Huh, is this?" And then he'll also say the same thing and be like, "Okay, weird." Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she's like, where do you want to go for dinner? And we both say pizza.
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah.
Both of us are thinking
Yeah.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we've analyzed this as well, and I think it's because we share the same energy field, and then the thoughts that come in, they are similar, right? Like the variables are similar, circumstances are similar, so same patterns run. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I mean, with respect to the logistics, honestly, we've had a very weird and very, very left of normal sort of story. Because, I mean, we met in Goa, and like hardly 2 months into meeting each other, we decided to move to the mountains, and there was no idea of like having this long relationship and marriage and none of this. Right? We went backpacking and found this place and an idea that really interested us. So we just moved, and yeah, we realized we'll end up hanging out a lot with each other because there is nobody else there except people who've lived in that village for all their lives. And most of them don't even speak Hindi, they only speak Pahadi. So, like, we only have each other basically to communicate anything we have to communicate.
Yeah.
I want to
See?
get to the elephant in the room. Your wedding.
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 Your
Elephant
wedding.
it is.
I think that's the only reason I wanted to do this with you.
Aw, so sweet, Sid.
Because I
It's so
saw
nice that you want to know. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm so touched. Yeah.
I saw your posts. I saw the posts of the people who went, whoever I knew, and I was just confused. Like, what is happening? Because there are different outfits, there are different things happening, but what's the flow? What are people doing? There are chart papers also. So I
Yes.
want to know what was it? Like, what did you do over there?
Ah,
Yeah.
oh, what a legendary wedding, firstly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
like
just like,
also,
Sure
wow.
about that.
Well, lots of layers to this, right? But we'll just tell
yeah.
you a little bit about just why a wedding like this, right? So marriage, after we got to a place where we're like, okay, now we have to get married, we actually had,
Got to a place where he agreed that, okay, we're going to get married now.
yeah, and yeah.
Because I'm major anti-establishment, okay? Like, from like I was like 10 probably.
And I was just like, what's wrong with you? Like, I was just like, you love me, I love you, we want to do this,
Just
we'll
big
do.
time rebel, like mostly without a cause also.
What I want to hear from Vishwas is what changed for you. Like, if you were so hell bent on, and I've met people who say that I don't want to get married, I don't believe in the institution of marriage, and exactly as you said, that it comes in with a lot of restrictions as well. So, how did that idea change for you, and what made you give in?
So, like she was saying earlier, the question that I was pondering over was why marriage? Like, I don't care about societal validation because every choice of mine, at least in the last 15, 20 years, has been faced with a lot of rejection and denial from my family or extended family, society, friends, everybody. Right? So societal validation was something I just let go of for a very long time, like long time ago. So I did not want to just get married because, okay, now the society will accept this relationship, because none of my identities or relationships have been accepted. So it's not an expectation anymore. And the second thing was that why do I have to get the government involved in my relationship? But when I met Satya, I realized this was also the first time where I felt the need to invest all of myself into another person, or into a togetherness with another person. Because till then I was a very independent person. I'd grown in a very isolated manner, in a way that other people were just serving certain needs or certain roles in my life, but were never like central to my life itself. But suddenly I met Satya, and this person suddenly, in a matter of like days or weeks, had become so central to just life itself, and we were building this life which was just impossible to do like alone. Right? Like living in that house, living in the Himalayas, doing the work we were doing was just it was just impossible to think of like alone. It was only possible because two people of a certain kind and of a certain ideology, thought process, whatever, came together and were investing all of us, like all of ourselves into it. So
It's so nice.
so the choice of being with this person was very clear, right? Like this, for the first time I had this person where I wasn't thinking of me as much. I wasn't thinking of what I am getting out of this, or why am I here. I just knew that I wanted to be here, very intuitively.
And for me, like marriage, like patriarchal marriage setups, like I am completely like just averse, like almost repulsed by them. Like no way, like nobody's doing kanyadan because I have raised myself, so nobody's gonna come and like dan me to someone else. Sorry. So and apart from that also, I think the idea that a reunion requires certain specific roles to be assigned to male and female, like to me is extremely limiting, like of what human potential really is, right? So that was one layer. Second layer was capitalism, right? Like weddings are essentially a place to spend a lot of money and just kind of have like this opulence, whatever. And I think that works for whoever it works for. Doesn't work for me. Like I would rather like cry and like feel and like laugh and experience something in my body and in my heart than like focus on how things are looking. Of course, perception is one degree, but there is also how much of self-worth is attached to those pieces, right? Like that's why we need to look good or whatever. Like I think I look good all the time, so like I like no longer feel like X makes me look great and Y makes me look bad. So I was holding a lot of these ideas, and I don't know, dude, like we also just want to mention that we got married 6 times, right? Like we've had 6 weddings. The community source wedding was one of them, it was the best and the most legendary one. We also had smaller ceremonies, right? Like the first day we decided to get married, we both did a private ceremony, just the two of us, and just decided that, okay, this is it. Like this wedding has occurred, and now we'll do more layers of the wedding, right? And we did a little ceremony with our parents. Then we also did another ceremony with a friend. Then we did this legendary wedding thing. So for the wedding, I think the idea was to say that how can we not spend any money, okay, and do this, right? Like that was our top thing. The only thing we wanted to spend money was on food, because food.
I think it was about not spending money on the marriage
wedding
marketplace.
Wedding marketplace. Not marriage bay. Marriage is the relationship.
The wedding market, photography and like
videography,
space to do weddings and like flowers and decoration. There's this whole market that exists only to serve weddings. Right? And we just did not want to buy into that. The initial idea was that Satya had decided 12 years ago that she will get married on this particular date.
So it's 22nd February 2022, okay?
It's a
So,
palindrome.
so 22022022, yeah. And it's the last palindrome, okay?
Yeah.
So now for a while. Yeah. So, and I was also born on 22nd January, and 2022 is when I turned 30, okay? So when I was very young, I decided I'm going to get married only when I turn 30. This 18 and all, what is this marriageable age? How can you get married at 18? Nothing, you know. So, yeah, and then this boy came along.
So I just fell into place at the right time. I got
Yeah.
lucky. The placeholder, there was a space for a groom on 22nd Feb.
Yeah, and you just jumped and you were like, there.
And this community, right, like these friends and these people, like they have played such a key instrumental role in being able to hold us at the wedding. Like the only request that we had was that, you know, we want you to bring the most sacred and most truthful parts of yourself into the space, whatever that means, right? And that led to, you know, people creating workshops, sessions for everyone. So essentially it was like about 32 people. Everyone lived together for a minimum of 5 days and a maximum of 2.5 months, which is crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. Invited these people, not leaving only, sitting in the house, not only. So what we did was essentially, like, big piece was nobody knew each other, right? They just heard of each other. Most people were meeting for the first time. So like the design had a lot of spaces where, so the program was fully designed by me. Like I only anchored the whole thing. Vishwas plugged in this beautiful piece which was of a wedding roast. So we had a roast of the two of us. And oh my god, dude, I didn't know I could be burnt blacker, essentially. Yeah, that's what it was. It was mad, okay. It was an
Yeah.
insane roast.
I went on for
8 hours. Yeah, 8 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. They
Wait, so
decimated us.
were your friends roasting each of you?
Yeah,
or just
yeah,
roasting
yeah.
each other?
Us
That
also,
also.
them also. It was oof.
So everybody roasting just the two of us.
Yeah,
So
we were at the center of it, and they had no mercy at all. Okay, they were just like, fuckers, come sit, let us tell you what is up. And we made them walk so much. No, we made them hike up the mountain and, you know, come to this obscure village and like invest so much to come for like a wedding. So they had a
and
lot
in
to.
like
Had a lot
winter,
to
like a
share.
Himalayan
It was
winter.
cold. Yeah, they had a lot to say, and they said it. And so we basically did like intention setting, where, you know, everyone got to know each other, and also like we knew that we are at the center, so the connections and the questions will come through us. But the idea was that each person coming to the wedding, can this be a journey for their own self? Right, like that was the design essentially. So like we are, I mean, हमें तो मजे आ ही रहे हैं, but like बाकी लोग भी, can they learn more about themselves, go deeper within self, like, you know, enhance and clarify ideas of love, companionship, community, togetherness, ownership, acceptance, right? These were some of the key principles that, you know, inform design. Yeah, so the roast is his piece and the toast is my piece. Yeah, so, you know, everyone coming together and like crying and and, you know, just really like feeling into the power of love, right? Like every single one of us, like that's all we want. We just want to be seen and loved, like that's all, right? And to receive that was something that both of us had to learn how to do. Like we didn't grow up learning to receive love like that, you know. So Vishwas went into a space of, okay, I don't need this. And I went into a space of, no, my role is to give. I will keep giving, you know. So the middle ground is essentially to say that, like, can it be an exchange, you know, can I receive? And the toast was a space for us to receive love, right? One of my children from the fellowship, Chaitrali, was also there for our wedding. She officiated the toast, and essentially, like, she held space for each person to come forward and in some ways bless us, right? So people did it through many forms. So people wrote poems, they wrote songs, like raps, they made pieces of art. You know, they did so many things, like they just spoke about so many pieces, and that also went on for 8 hours. But, you know, there was a combination of just a lot of like crying and feeling and also laughing and just feeling like we can do this, you know, like if this is really how people see us, like people who are closest to us, if this is how they see us, then it is a validation of that truth that we are actually really sweet and wonderful people. And in the morning, we had this like sculpting, this session that one of our sculptor friends held for all of us, which was, using clay to let go of certain pieces and to let in. Because marriages and weddings are also about that. You have to let go of certain ideas and you have to let in certain other ideas. So we did that as a collective. All of us participated in that. And then we had the toast. And on the last day, we had this mad, beautiful wedding ceremony, which was about a few hours, where one of our friends, she designed this ceremony where essentially like we were all just kind of walking around and connecting with each other, and then Vishwas and I were at the center, and everyone was asked to organically form a shape around us. And it turned out to be this beautiful protective circle that emerged, like many, many layers of this circle with each person. And there are like 35 people, everybody's crying. Like everybody was just weeping because like to be able to experience love with such openness, like we've not been able to do that. Like life has not been like that, right? Like we've had very restricted and constricted lives. And in that circle, then Vishwas and I were like, okay, like this is it. This is our community. This is our universe, basically. And the mountains, we did it outside. So the mountains, we were surrounded by the mountains, this community, and us in the center. And then, just exchange some vows or not so vows. And Vishwas, yeah, he used to talk in a very low voice. So it's on tape, but no idea what he said. Huh? So that's all. Yeah, and at the wedding, like Vishwas and I, like we spoke about like our landlord and his family's role, and they were with us, and every single person who's visited us, they knew that they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this family. Like it's not like Satya and Vishwas have done this. Like it's Bahadur and his wife and his children, like who are anchoring this dream of ours. And not for one moment do we forget that. Like we cannot do this on our own, and we don't claim to, and we don't want to, like that's the thing. Like we don't want this to be our thing. And then the roast basically was this like beautiful like meeting of like these parts of self. Like essentially, like I had a tough time taking a joke. I'll just be honest about it. Like essentially, and Vishwas jokes all the time. Like he's damn funny. And I used to just like be like, oh my god, like why are you saying that to me? Like what does it mean or whatever, And then he was like, Satya, this has got to go. This part of you is just coming up as like a defense, and you have nothing to defend yourself against, and it's a past practice, and we got to like figure out a way. So then he said, let's do a wedding roast. I said, all right, I will sacrifice myself on this altar. And I did.
I think one of the core ideas of both of us is that for Satya, everything is reflection. Reflect on everything till you figure it out. And for me, it's like, until you're able to laugh at something, you haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, so-
Okay, I take jokes very seriously. As in, I don't laugh at it. Especially if it is targeted at me, I take it very personally, and that is my problem. And that comes up every time. And he is exactly the opposite.
Used to be like that. Now you pointing fingers.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Why are you
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
things
He's
so
also very
seriously?
much
Just
like
laugh
that.
it out, If you can't laugh it
Yeah,
out, then what is going on? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hard relate. And learned it the hard way.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
yeah.
what do we do? Get like our friends together and do like a roast for me to get out of this? Because I really feel I need to.
I don't think my friends are
I strongly suggest it. It helped us.
Oh, it helped us. Like, it helped me move tremendously.
So do you feel more relaxed, chill? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Full on. And I crack a lot of, I'm actually a very funny person. I just was, I've suppressed that side. I've actually suppressed that side over the years because I had to, step into the role of this caregiver or this responsible, like this person who has to figure things out. Like that was the actual reason why I was like, oh, there's no time to play. Fat kaam karo, first आओ class में और चलो.
Thanks, Vishwas. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks
Both
Vishwas.
courses दे दिया तुमने.
Big time. Big time thanks Vishwas. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's because I have this habit, and a lot of my friends have also told me this enough number of times for me to know that, I take the darkest parts of people and try my best to find a way to laugh at it.
And laugh at it in a way that it doesn't come from disrespect or dismissal. It comes from being able to see that these experiences also have a lot of lightness to them, and we tend to see the intensity because intensity doesn't find expression in everyday life. Like we are not encouraged to be connected to our intense selves, right? We're like, okay, whatever, just superficial, hello, hi, how are you? I am good. How are you? I am good. And move on, right? Like that, there's no like heartfelt engagement, right? I feel like humor is a great tool to go very deep into ourselves and see that, okay, like, you know, this thing that has hurt me so deeply, like there is also, it's also really funny, like that this has happened, you know, like what the fuck, like why is this happening, you know, this is so stupid, you know, and why am I going through this? And being able to just laugh and hold that child within and say that it's okay, you know, we'll figure it out, like it's all right, you know, and it's okay to laugh even when life is hard. And laughter shouldn't be some sort of a rare commodity which comes out, you know, out of this treasure. Like that's how I was doing it, like reserved laughter. I will only laugh when all my job is done. So
You were saying something?
yeah, you have a question, Sid? Ask.
Do you guys fight?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Oh, okay.
Lot.
yeah,
Nice.
we do.
Is it like she's
Not a
you
lot,
are-
but yeah, we do a lot.
I mean, it's not
But
fight as...
it's like we are very like truthful, like both of us, like very clear voice, like throat chakra open. So if something's there, just be like, what is this? Like, what are you saying?
And also, I feel like
Just
we're very
honest.
strong individuals with like very strong
comes like this.
ideas, and you know, spent a lot of time in, you know, just being alone with ourselves. So we have very strong opinions and ideas. So it's mostly a lot of debates and just
we just discuss
discussions
a lot
about
of
things.
things.
Like even if it is conflicting, we just talk about it
Nice.
until
talking
we
about it.
like reach some sort of resolution or some sort of
Middle ground.
understanding.
Yeah, even if it means like surrendering and saying, okay, nahi ho raha hai, let's pause this, let's put a pin on this. And then next morning we'll pick it up there only. Like
Yeah.
be like, अच्छा अभी बता, तू क्या बोल रहा है? क्या?
Yeah, so it's not as much as a fight as it is a debate or a discussion
Yeah.
most times.
Yeah, sometimes it's not very kind also. Most of the times it's quite kind dialogue, but there
Yeah.
are times where it's just not so kind.
It's not
And
objective and it hits certain very
Triggers.
like, you know,
Like I know what triggers him,
places.
he knows what triggers me, and suddenly it'll be like, you know, just be like,
Yeah.
how does that feel? Oh, how does that feel? And then
You look at that.
you look at that. So, and then I think, you know, sometimes then we ourselves come to the conclusion that like we choose to not be unkind, you know, like if I want, I can be extremely unkind, but it's a choice that I'm making to live life in compassion, right? And it's the same choice that he's making as well for himself. And I think the internal dialogue that we have is very connected to the external dialogues that we have, right? Like how I speak to myself in my heart is how I speak to Vishwas. It's the same thing. If I'm not being able to hold that space for myself, I cannot hold that space for him. So in moments when I end up triggering him, I realize that I'm hurting myself actually.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that we end up saying, that, you know, I'm unkind to you because I'm being unkind to me. Like, because Vishwas and I, like, we are one. Like, there is no difference, like, in us, you know. So, like, being able to look at that piece comes from just a lot of work that we continue to do on ourselves. Like for me, like my spiritual and my internal journey is at the center. Like I have to work on me. I have to be responsible for myself. As long as I'm doing that, everything's going to be awesome, you know, and everything is awesome because of that.
Wow.
Okay, we pause it here.
Yes,
I mean,
let
we
us.
really need to have a part 2 for this. We can't
Yeah.
just end this on
Sure
part
thing.
1. There's so much more that I would really like to talk about. I think we just covered the wedding. I still want to know so much more about your wedding. I think you just left us wanting a lot more from both of you,
Meet
honestly.
Satya and Vishwas as season 2 with
Yeah.
Siddharth and
Here is more of our story.
Yeah.
It's a great idea actually. We can
Yeah.
do season 2 and we can reinvent. I hope you guys had a good time talking about this, and it in a lot of ways sort of help you reflect and bring back some of those beautiful memories that you
Yeah.
have. That's one of our intentions, that people get that space as a couple.
Yeah, a lot of times
Yeah.
in regular day life, you also forget about a lot of things that you guys just spoke about, right? So this conversation helps you rethink those points and just gets you closer. It does to us. After every podcast, I just feel like, oh, you said this. Oh, yeah, that made so much sense. You know, so you guys have a good day thinking about the chat and thinking more about what you want to share in the next one. And we will definitely
Thank you.
connect with you again.
Yes.
Thank you. Big hugs. Come visit us and come
100%.
stay with us for some time.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We will. Thank you.